friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm in the middle of like a big filming day today. I'm sitting down pre-recording a bunch of my May content, and I had a really super long, in-depth, like scripted, detailed video about piercing healing processes that you're gonna see next month, because that is not what we are sitting down to film today. As many of you know, if you followed this page for any length of time, I'm non-binary. I started my transition this year, identify as trans, and it is a really hard time to be trans in America right now. There is just a constant onslaught of really disheartening news about legislation that's constantly being created against trans people, policies being written against trans people, and hate speech being openly spewed and broadcasted against trans people, like basically every day. I cannot open a single social media app without seeing legislation against my existence and hate speech against my existence. And it is hard. It is very difficult right now, and I know I find myself struggling, and I cannot imagine how other members of our community who are more vulnerable than I am feel currently. So today's video is for all of my trans followers and all of my non-binary followers, and I just want to spread a little bit of happiness and a little bit of joy in a time that is otherwise so difficult. I have known I was trans probably since middle school or high school, but non-binary wasn't really a thing that existed with like broad knowledge and broad options when I was growing up, so I didn't know that was an option for me. And instead, I just spent a lot of time thinking I was a really, really good trans ally. And that led to me, in part exploring piercing, which has always been enmeshed in the queer community, but really, really finding myself called to and drawn to genital piercing, and in particular gender affirming work. And I was really fortunate to do my apprenticeship very close to Wilton Manors in South Florida, which is like one of the largest like big gay cities in America. And I got to be a part of a lot of really empowering gender affirming work, and I really feel like I found my calling doing that work. And I myself have personally had so many experiences with piercings and with tattoos, and the ways in which these modifications can be an integral part of our transition and an integral part of affirming who we are and giving us gender affirmation and helping us deal with dysphoria. And I really feel like in the last couple of years, but like especially the last 2 years, I've veered into focusing on and almost specializing in these piercings. I've started working with a lot more trans clients. I've started delving more into knowledge and research about all of the different ways we can medically transition, selfishly in part to help me with my own transition journey, but also to allow me to do better and safer work for my clients. And I've watched this amazing blossoming community within piercing and body modification of younger queer and trans folks who are using body modification in such an amazing way to reclaim their bodies and reconnect with their bodies, and using body modification as active parts in their transition. And so today I just kind of want to talk a little bit about that, and a little bit about hope and positivity, and kind of offer a respite from all of the really negative, really scary news that is out there, and talk about some trans joy and some trans happiness for a little bit. Last month on this channel, I posted a whole in-depth guide about trans femme PA piercings and the ways that those piercings can be really helpful for trans women and trans feminine folks, and the response has warmed my heart. I got so many emails and DMs from trans women and trans femmes who have genital piercings who said that they felt so seen by that video, and most importantly, who talked about a lot of the impacts in that video that I mentioned, the way these piercings help with function, the way they affect things like going to the bathroom, like just the empowerment that they receive from those piercings. And it is so incredible to know that we can offer people so much joy and so much euphoria and so much comfortability in their own body through something as simple as a body piercing. And I've talked about this a bunch on my TikTok, and I've even talked about it here, but for me, body modification, and especially body piercing, has really been an integral part of my transition and part of my journey as a trans person. And I know I'm not the only person who feels that way. Like, for me, body piercings and tattoos are like on par with HRT when it comes to like things that I'm doing as an active physical part of my physical transition. Like, I view those very equally in my mind. And to see this growing community of more and more trans folks who I think feel the same and are using body piercing and tattoo and body modification as a part of their transition is so inspiring to me, and just makes me feel so excited and so not alone. And really, I think we're making like leaps and bounds in terms of what we can do with body piercings. I have clients coming to me constantly with phenomenally creative, interesting ideas for new body piercings, especially genital piercings, or specific pieces of jewelry that are going to help them with affirming their gender or help them with a specific line of function. I've started recently working on documenting some marking and placement techniques for helping regular piercings like eyebrow piercings and septums and nostrils and lips be more gender affirming and feel more gender affirming. And I'm working with some really phenomenal trans clients and trans creators to put together some information about the way we use piercings to have like more of a gender affirming effect. And as I'm traveling and guesting, I get to meet so many of you, and I have nothing but love for absolutely all of my clients, but for my trans clients, there is like an extra special place in my heart, because like, you get it, you know? We both get it. There is something about that trans experience and about taking agency over the creation of your own form, however that looks like, whether it's surgery, whether it's medication, whether it's piercings and tattoos, that it just hits different. And I love all of my cisgender friends and all of my cisgender family, but it is a unique lived experience that we as trans folks get to have. And I am so humbled and honored and grateful to be involved in so many of these experiences for you. And I am just so excited and so full of hope when I look at where the piercing industry and the piercing community is headed. When I look at all the amazing young queer apprentices and front of house and junior piercers who are coming up in the industry right now, when I look at all the clients who are really helping like push the boundaries of what we can do with piercing again, who are revitalizing an interest in genital piercing and heavy mods and more extreme piercings, all in an effort to allow their physical bodies to reflect how they feel on the inside. There are these monumental shifts that I think are happening in the piercing industry right now that are really being driven by queer and trans people. And I think when we look back on this time period in piercing, it is going to be undeniable the impact that the trans community had on this industry during this time. And in a sea of information and news blips and updates that is so negative and so difficult to deal with, looking at where piercing is headed and looking at the amazing interactions I get to have in my piercing room every day and the amazing clients that I get to work with gives me just an unbelievable amount of hope. And I hope that I can share a little bit of that with you in this video and give you something really exciting to think about. And just kind of remind you to please take care of yourself during this really difficult time. There's no shame in needing to step away from social media for a little bit, or take a break from following the news articles. There is nothing wrong if you don't have the spoons to constantly stay informed about the legislation of your own life. It is okay to need to take a break from that. And I would encourage you to really take some time to practice some self-care, whatever that looks like for you. You know, distancing yourself from social media, getting a new piercing or a tattoo or something to help ground you in your body, spending time outside, like having some difficult conversations with your therapist or with friends or family members, is seeking out community for support right now while things are hard. Just please be kind to yourself and take care of yourself right now. This is a really hard time, and a lot of us are struggling. And I just want to remind everyone that there is more out there than the sad, scary news that we see every day. That there's real stories of trans people making amazing strides and amazing positive impacts across all sorts of industries, all sorts of fields, and piercing is undoubtedly, undeniably one of them. And I am so excited for what trans clients and trans piercers are bringing to piercing right now. And I just want to sit with that excitement for a little bit and not think about all of those scary, not so great things that are happening out in the world right now. So thanks for sitting down and just having like a couple minutes of happiness and excitement. And this video doesn't really have a point. I didn't script it, I didn't plan it, I just opened my Twitter feed today and felt really overwhelmed and really needed a space away from all of that, and I know a lot of my followers can relate. So even if this video tanks and gets like no views, if it creates a little bubble for you to sit in for just like 5 minutes to not think about all of those awful things that are going on right now, it did its job. And yeah, I just wanted to share a little trans joy and a little trans positivity and a little trans excitement today to counteract everything else that's going on. Thanks so much for sitting with me and just kind of rambling a little bit about some stuff that makes me feel good and makes me feel happy. And please take care of yourself today and be gentle to yourself today and do something really nice for yourself today, because you deserve it. Alright, I'm sure we'll sit down and chat soon, and we'll be back to my regularly scheduled educational programming next upload day. Bye.